time again. Happy Friday. You're ready for the weekend. I'm ready for the weekend. And most importantly, Scubie's ready for the weekend. We got new fresh blood coming in. Skubie Mageza, I'm Jason Fitz. This is the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. My friend, you are in, hanging out. You excited for this?
Oh, yeah. It feels good to be on Friday Kickoff with the boys. Not a lot of shows you can do standing up and just, do this type of stuff.
Explore the space.
Around, activities. I got room for activities.
Scubie, an incredible dancer, too. So, you never know. Maybe it's just a bust a move. I don't know what's going to happen. Speaking of bust a move, we'll get to college football. But there was a move in the NFL yesterday.
Ooh.
Christian McCaffrey traded from the Panthers to the 49ers. Scubie, I just keep thinking about aggressiveness. We used to think that the way you built your way to a Super Bowl was you turned around and you drafted well and you signed, you kept your guys in house. Now, 2 years ago, the Buccaneers said, let's aggressively go after Tom Brady. They got a Super Bowl. The Rams last year said, screw the draft. Let's get all the talent in we can right now. They get a Super Bowl. The 49ers, in a year where their offense has been meh, now they go out and they acquire somebody that immediately makes them an absolute – their numbers went through the roof on the Vegas odds. Yeah, San Francisco's being aggressive. That's the new path to winning.
And they just decided to buy into the running game, right? Because you have this quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, and we've seen what Jimmy does plenty of times before. He's not going to be the guy to win the game with you with his arm. So let's buy into that running game. San Francisco has had problems trying to keep their backs healthy. Jeff Wilson Jr., this is really the first year he's been able to stay on the field. Then you got Elijah Mitchell on ER. You get Christian McCaffrey in there. I know he's had his health problems as well, but if he can stay on that field, he's versatile. You don't have to give him as many touches. This is a great move. And by the way, let's tie this to college football because this is a college football show. We have a top 10 matchup in the Pac-12. It's the third time that it's happened, right? The first time that it happened was Christian McCaffrey versus Washington, and he ended up losing when he was with Stanford. So I know he'll be keeping an eye on this week's games because we got some good action.
Look at that, Scubie tying it all together. Let's show you some of that action you have got to see this weekend. Now, look, I'm never going to lie to you. Tennessee UT Martin only applies to if you're maybe interested in some of the financials on it, but it's still good to watch Hendon Hooker. But this Ohio State-Iowa game, what do you think, Scoobs? You know Iowa better than anybody.
Hey, there's 3 players on the Ohio State offense that has more touchdowns than the entire Iowa offense. So that's what I think about it. Not many points coming from Iowa, a lot of points coming from Ohio State.
Oh, that UCLA-Oregon game is sexy, though, because remember, I'll keep reminding you every week, there's at least a path against USC versus UCLA in the Pac-12 championship game. UCLA, sneaky, just coming out beating everybody. Game day going to be at Oregon. Woo! Shout out to our Countdown to Game Day crew that's going to be getting up early. Christine Williamson not going to be happy getting up that early in the morning.
Oh, not at all, being on that other side. But this is a big game for UCLA, as you just mentioned. They've lost 9 out of their last 10 against Oregon. Chip Kelly 0-3 against this team. The last 2 times was by 3 points or less. So they need to go and get this win. This will be huge for them because UCLA, undefeated, Oregon, and nobody forgetting that booty spanking they got at the beginning of the season against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You remember it. You remember.
Yeah, well, speaking of remembers, all I can think about is what we saw last week because it was an instant classic. I was sitting next to an Alabama quarterback. Remember, this was last Saturday with Tennessee and Alabama.
40-yard attempt. This for the win against Alabama. It's good. Chase McGrath wins the game for Tennessee. A night to remember.
All right, let's take a look at some Built for Success presented by Ram Trucks. And to do that, Scubie, we're going to have to hang out with our good buddy Jordan Rodgers joining us now. I'm telling you, Jordan's now come on with us multiple times this year. He is the star of SEC Nation, right? We can definitively say that, Jordan, right?
Only if you say so.
Okay, perfect. That's
Tim Tebow might have something to say about that, but he's not here right now.
Never heard of him.
Like, don't worry about that.
Never heard of him. You know what? I hear he's a nice guy, but I don't know anything about him. All right, Jordan, you were there last week in Knoxville. You saw the energy. You were around it for SEC Nation. Give me sort of a vibe of what you think it means for Tennessee's program moving forward to get that win.
I think it's monumental, right? Tennessee has been that team over the last couple of years. We're like, man, they're close, right? They're almost there. Is this going to be the year? it is the year, and it is going to be a long couple of years because Josh Heupel is building an absolute monster, and it starts on the offensive side of the football. I mean, did we forget that Hendon Hooker right now is the Heisman favorite in my mind, as he should be? But did we forget he was just okay at Virginia Tech? At best, he wasn't great. This system that Josh Heupel has put together and how he's developed Hendon Hooker is an absolute monster, and he beat Alabama last week without his best receiver, the best receiver in the entire SEC. So this is absolutely monumental for the program. But I tell you what, more than that, this puts Georgia on alert. This puts everybody on alert in the entire country because Tennessee is not a splash in the pan. They are a team that I think is going to be built for success long term with what Josh Heupel is building.
That's the beauty of the transfer portal, right? Giving these kids another opportunity to go in a new system that gives them an opportunity to be successful. So you mentioned Hendon Hooker. He's now the Heisman favorite. And I was listening to Todd McShay. He said he's helped his draft stock more than a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. So how much stock are you investing into Hendon Hooker with what he's been doing this season and getting over 400 all-purpose yards against Alabama?
That's crazy. Like, I wish I would have put $10 into Bitcoin back in like 2010. It's like, put your stock in Hendon Hooker right now. Or maybe you should have done that before the Tennessee game with the rest of us. Look, you're so right. You give a guy another opportunity or a different system, and you can see how he flourished. I mean, at Virginia Tech, and even at Tennessee, he was the backup to start last season. I mean, he was maybe an afterthought when it came to the NFL. Now he's getting talked about as really a riser. He's really hot in the NFL market as well, especially the way offenses are going in today's day and age. But I tell you what, it's just so impressive the way in this high-powered offense with how much they push the ball downfield, how he's protected the football. He's thrown 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's thrown 3 interceptions as a starter. That accounts 10 games last year. I mean, he is dynamic. He takes risks. He pushed the ball downfield, and he protects it more than anything else. That's what makes him so special.
Especially incredible in an aggressive offense. So let's take the other side of this, Jordan, because Alabama coming into Saturday's matchup was 118th in the country in penalty yards. They were 118th and last in the SEC in dropped passes. This is not my father's Alabama team, right? So can they fix it? How do they fix it?
They can absolutely fix it. Look, we're talking about the GOAT. We're talking about Nick Saban. I mean, yes, it has looked really ugly at times with the penalties, the mistakes, but think about this. If Jahmyr Gibbs catches that angle route late in the fourth quarter, he either scores a touchdown or he probably sets up a field goal that's about 25 yards. And we're talking about this game completely different, and the penalties, the poor play, the mistakes on defense is all masked from the standpoint of Bryce Young led them to a victory against UT, but because that ball was dropped, the field goal was missed, everything that happened, it is a much bigger storyline. They're going to come out and they're going to absolutely wallop Mississippi State. They're going to take out all their frustration this week, and they are still right there. Bryce Young is still the best player in the entire country. I still believe that now. Is he the Heisman favorite, right? Is he putting up the gaudy numbers? No, but he's still the best player in the entire country, in my opinion. So it's not the sky is falling in Tuscaloosa. They're going to get back on track.
Nothing like going against an angry Nick Saban. I'd hate to be on the other side of that. And, when Alabama beats somebody, it's just another Saturday. But when they lose, it's like they just won the Super Bowl. But if they get back into the college football playoff, or let's say another SEC team gets in there, do you think it's plausible to have 3 SEC teams in the CFP? Let's hear it. Come on.
Well, there is an SEC Nation sign right over my shoulder. Oh, it's the other shoulder. There we go. TV mirror thing. So, yes, it is very plausible. Is it going to happen? No. There's too many good teams across the country right now, from Clemson, the ACC, Michigan, Ohio State, up in the Big Ten. You got TCU and UCLA still undefeated. There's a lot of good teams out there. A lot would have to happen for that to be the case. Look, Ole Miss still has a chance. They could lose to Alabama, have 1 loss, run the table. They could be sitting there. Tennessee could do the same thing against Georgia. But I still firmly believe there's too many good teams right now across the country, across the conferences, that I think it's going to be 2 at maximum. But a lot could still happen, right? I mean, this is we keep still talking like, well, Georgia's going to beat Tennessee, and it's going to be Georgia and Alabama in the championship. And if Georgia wins, then Tennessee's sitting there with 1 loss. Georgia should be really tight right now. They should be really worried about what they saw in Knoxville, because they run the exact same defense as Alabama, and it wasn't guys just, oh, I missed this coverage, oh, I forgot to do this. Tennessee schematically attacked the way that Alabama runs defense, which is the exact same system that Kirby Smart has in Georgia. So that game is absolutely monumental, and it wasn't just, oh, Alabama really messed that one up. Tennessee won that football game. Georgia's on alert, but long story short, no, I think 2 teams at most from the SEC. Don't tell my bosses.
What I know is that you should watch SEC Network. You should watch SEC Nation every weekend. I just want to see if Paul Feinbaum comes out in a casket again. You never know what's going to happen on that damn show. Jordan Rodgers, thanks for hanging out with us, my friend. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, fellas.
I mean, absolutely stellar work. They put on a great show every single weekend. Week 8's going to put on a great show for us this weekend. Check this out.
More physical, go play fearless. I hope a lot of people respect us. If they don't, we're going to continue to do what we're doing.
I mean, if that doesn't get you fired up, I know what will. Come on, Mac Lain coming in.
We're back,
ACC
my man.
Network analyst.
Squad.
I mean, this is just.
Oh, we're back to the hunt.
This show just got smarter. It got bigger. It got sexier. Like, all of this is happening.
Last two, you
all
got
is happening. We're going to get to this. Believe me. I'll explain what's happening with this in a second. But patience is a virtue. We're going to start with the most important thing. You are wearing a hoodie that says Girl Dad.
Y'all know what it is.
1 month old today, right?
1 month old today.
Today.
How
All right.
crazy is that?
So what's tougher? Blocking like the best defensive lineman you've ever seen in your entire life for that one play. You got to get 1 yard against the person in their prime, the best ever. Or right now getting a good night's sleep.
Blocking is easier, way easier. Listen, I love the baby girl to death, Amelia Rose. I love you. But she won't let me sleep.
No,
She won't let me sleep. I get better sleep in the double tree right down the street than I do in my own house.
You get like 3 or 4 a night right now?
That'd be great. That'd be a good night.
I'd love to pretend that like I don't have kids and I just know that the power that my dog has over me, like I can't imagine.
Facts.
I just can't even imagine. All right, let's get to the actual matchup. I want to talk to you a little bit because you obviously know Clemson better than anybody. We just saw Syracuse saying, hey, you better respect what we're doing. Do they have a shot in this game?
Listen, if there's a team that has played Clemson extremely well since 2015, it's that Cuse Orange. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they are the thorn in the side for the Clemson Tigers. They've only beaten them once, but guys, they just match up super well. And we actually had Garrett Schrader on the podcast earlier this week, and he said, listen, we're the most explosive we've been. We're the most talented we've been. We can't wait for this matchup. The only thing that I will say, Clemson, a little bit embarrassed last week against Florida State, giving up 200-plus rushing yards. They had this players-only meeting. Those guys are going to be locked in. I think that defense has their welcome out party and kind of reminds everybody. With that in mind, I think Clemson handles business.
I'm just going to be a total non-professional for a second. I've always wanted to scream, what time is it, and have game time just barked back at me. So, gentlemen, what time is it?
Game time!
Oh, God, that feels good. You see all of this in front of us. Why do we have it here? Because it's time to play Bet It or Regret It. So this is very simple. We're going to bring up a slot machine. The Vegas kid in me loves this. We're going to spin the slot, and where it stops will give us a playoff combination. We'll have to decide if we're prepared to bet said combination. We like all of them making the college football playoff, or if we're set to regret it. We got this,
There
boys?
we go. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yes, would you, we're going to start.
Can I do it? I'm super nervous. Here we go.
Start us off.
Let's go.
Oh, look at
All right, we're going. We're spinning. We're spinning.
Come on.
No whammies, no whammies, no
Give me
whammies.
all
Big
seven.
money, big money, big
Alabama,
money.
Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia. Hold on. 3 SEC teams. No. Regret it. Get rid of it. There is no shot of that right there happening. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
I mean, if Clemson loses to Cuse and then Ohio State beats out Michigan to the point that they're out of it.
Look me in my eyes. There's no way that is happening.
Scooby, you in on that?
I'm going to regret it. I agree with the 3 SEC teams. There's going to be some other conferences getting in on this college football playoff action. The SEC teams are going to beat each other down into the dirt. We're just getting to that point of the season where things are about to get even spicy. But I will say, the Georgia Bulldogs, they've been slacking lately. Maybe they can step up their game to close out the season, obviously it's Vanderbilt. Come on, it's Vanderbilt. They're
Right.
going to beat them that bad. But Kent State, Missouri, we saw how those games were, fellas.
It gets rough in a hurry here, Fitz, for the Bulldogs. They've got to get it going and got to get it figured out.
Yeah, I'll say this. As a lover of chaos, I want one of two things. I want 3 teams from the SEC to make it, or no teams from the SEC to make it. Either one of those will make people absolutely scream. Don't forget to check out rankings reactions starting in a few weeks. All right,
I want
go ahead.
Next up.
I'm trying to bet
Let's go.
something. What you got for me?
Come on.
Come on.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
There we go. Where it stops.
What we going to land on?
Okay, I like that one.
Clemson, Michigan, Georgia, Tennessee.
All right.
2 teams from the East.
Two in the East.
I'm going to go ahead and regret that because ain't no way Michigan is beating Ohio State. Right? I'm going to let you know that right now. Ain't no way, Jose. And especially when we see Georgia and Tennessee going against each other at some point in the season,
Right.
I think one of those teams are probably going to get each other knocked out. More than likely Tennessee, but
Right.
checking out the rest of their schedule, it doesn't get easier for them as well. They got Kentucky and then Georgia. That's a buzzsaw if you see it, Eric.
For me, it's just having those 2 teams in the same division. I think that would be extremely tough. That game against each other, as you see there on November 5th, I mean, it would have to be like a field goal overtime game for me to even think it was possible. So, Fitz, I'm regretting that one.
Yeah, I think I regret it too, but I'm also going to regret Twitter if Michigan somehow beats Ohio State because I spent all year saying that.
Keep the receipts. Keep the receipts.
All right, you guys haven't done this right. I'm going to do it the right way.
All right, the Vegas kid going at it.
Number
What you
one,
got?
Go gentle.
That's how you hit it? That's how you hit it?
No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Big money, big money, big money. Stop.
Is it, whoever made this, did they just have a contract with the SEC to have multiple SEC teams? Are there other
I have
divisions?
no
Are there other
faith in
conferences?
Ole Miss. I don't know what you go take. I have no faith in Ole Miss.
I don't either, man. I think it's fun to look at. It's pretty cool, but I don't think there's any way. I like the 3 on the left. I don't like the 1 on the right.
Ole Miss is going to have the best playoff watch party on campus. It's going to be so cool. Their team's not going to be in it, but it's going to be so cool. All right,
Are we back at the top?
Go ahead.
I'm back. Okay.
Look at tender, gentle giant.
Big money, big money, big money, big money, big money. Give me a good one. Give me some.
TCU.
Okay, well, now we're just off the rails. 2 SEC teams again. I just don't understand. Is there one that we have programmed without 2 SEC teams?
Hey, slot machines are all random.
I'm regretting this one too. I don't see it this year, guys. I really don't, especially with Tennessee just doing what they did to Alabama. Last year, I get it. Those were the 2 best teams. We saw an awesome championship game. I just don't think that's the case. College football is better this year. I like the TCU joint, though. Those boys can score. I like the TCU deal.
I was just going to say, it is not a likely pick, but I think it is the sexiest one. You say you want chaos in college football. I want chaos to let TCU into the college football playoff, and if they can get another ranked win,
that's right.
I mean, what's that, the first time that's happened in the Big 12?
Right. What year was it where they were on the fringe? 14? They're on the outside. Please let us play. Let us in. They said, no, fam, you're not doing it.
I'll tell you what, they deserve more love than Ole Miss.
Absolutely.
They deserve more love than Ole Miss.
Scooby, you're up. Let's spin it one more time.
Let's see if we can get some more.
Big
maybe
money.
Maybe 4 SEC teams. That'd be cool to see.
I'm in for Texas.
Hook 'em. Okay, only 1 SEC team. You know what? I'm going to bet this. I don't think Texas has anyway. I'm going to bet the ones on the left. Tennessee's playing out of their mind.
Yeah.
Clemson's scoring at a clip that we haven't seen for many, many years. Ohio State's offense, their defense is getting better, kind of pulling them along. Think of the views on this playoff. I mean, you get that big Texas draw in there, Ohio State, Tennessee, Clemson. That would be fantastic. My biggest question here is, what do you want the matchups to be? What do you want to see 1 through 4?
I think Clemson is 1, Tennessee 2, Ohio State 3, Texas 4. That's how we have it set up.
I just, the lover in offense wants Tennessee, Ohio State, because
awesome.
I just got to see that game. But I think you're 100% right. What's interesting is if you could get a Big 12 team in there that could actually make a difference, this would be a ratings killer, like in the best possible way.
Absolutely.
Like, for everybody that thinks, SEC bias, no. The college football community wants this because the whole
Finally, no Georgia, finally, no Alabama.
You put a West Coast team in there or a Big 12 team in there, and the playoff committee would be like,
There's a lot of orange in there, too. I like that. You see under the collar. I like that orange.
It's a good color.
He's the great Mac Lain, a dad, most importantly, but also today, he's anchoring us. In the meantime, let's get you caught up on all the action around the country. It's time for a little conference call.
If you want to experience the local flavor here in Clemson, South Carolina, you have to come to the Esso Club. The Esso Club is a former service station and gas station turned restaurant and bar, and it is already hopping. The day before a game, there are so many fans here to see Syracuse take on Clemson, the last two unbeaten teams in the ACC, and it's homecoming weekend for Clemson, so there are going to be a lot of people here, and this Esso Club is right across the street from Memorial Stadium, so it's going to be packed for the game tomorrow, and this is going to be a sellout crowd ahead of this one. Syracuse is preparing for a raucous environment. They've been cranking the crowd noise in the dome all week long, and players tell us they're using a silent cadence for the first time in all of their careers at Syracuse. So it'll be a big challenge ahead of them. Homecoming weekend here at Memorial Stadium in Death Valley, and Clemson looking for their 38th straight home win. That would be the best in ACC history.
Hey guys, going to be a great one in Stillwater this weekend. However, I'm not in Stillwater yet. I'm in Oklahoma City, because if you're not familiar with Oklahoma State's homecoming event, you should be. 65,000 fans and alumni will descend upon Stillwater and that campus, which means there's not an open hotel room within 50 miles in any direction. So it should be a fun weekend as Oklahoma State plays host to Texas. Now, a couple of things to look for. The Texas Longhorns on offense have really grown. We know about Quinn Ewers. We know about Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, but keep an eye on the tight end position. Jalil Billingsley, Jatavian Sanders give this offense an identity it was lacking a year ago. They can create mismatches and explosive plays and allow for Steve Sarkisian to really coach this offense the way he wants this offense to look. Now, on the flip side, tough loss last week for Oklahoma State at TCU. Why? Well, they got off to a 24-7 start, but couldn't effectively run the football to close out the game and get the win. That's been a problem for Oklahoma State all year long, averaging under 4 yards per carry. It has to be over 4 yards per carry. If Oklahoma State has a lead against Texas in the second half, they're going to have to be able to run the football to close this one out. Should be a raucous affair in Stillwater. Looking forward to it.
Hello, friends. Christine Williamson here, coming to you live from the Oregon football facility. It's beautiful, isn't it? We toured it earlier. Amazing, immaculate. It was built in 2014. They spent a lot over $68 million. That was the original budget. They ended up going over that. It looks brand new because they were ahead of their time. Fun fact, in 71 meetings, UCLA and Oregon have only been ranked in the top 10 at the same time one time. It is this weekend, so Autzen is going to be poppin'. Also, Oregon, we know, it's Nike University. They're known for their uniforms. They have these Stomp Out Cancer uniforms. It's October, breast cancer awareness, and they look fire. Matte helmets, pink wings, like it's beautiful. You're gonna have to see it if you haven't already. Too bad you guys can't be here because we're gonna go look at some more cool things here, but I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Christine. Don't forget, you can check Christine out with Harry Douglas, Harry Lyles Jr. tomorrow morning, 8:30 to 9 a.m. on Countdown to Game Day. Then come back at 7 p.m. I'll be hanging out with A.J. McCarron. We'll get you caught up on everything from the day. And 11 p.m., Scooby taking over. Also with AJ for the wrap-up. Basically, all of your college football needs can be handled right here on the ESPN app, YouTube, Twitter, all the other places that we like to have a little bit of fun. Speaking of having a little fun, it's game time. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know. All right, here's the thing. You know, I just bought a couple of these bad boys for my world-famous Halloween party next week. I figure let's bring a little ring toss action. Every week we like to end the show with a game where we get you a bunch of different college football hot takes. So, you know how this game works, Scooby. All you got to do is get it to connect, right? Okay, and here's the important thing. If you get it, then the loser has to rip one of these non-alcoholic beverages in front of us. It's important. We work for Mickey Mouse. And at the same time, whilst the loser is ripping said non-alcoholic shot, the winner is deciding what type of ring they would put on that person. Follow me here. So we got different pictures here. We'll tell you who they are. All we have to do first and foremost
sounds pretty easy.
Is go ahead and get it up. Ready?
All right.
Ready? There we go. Oh, nothing. Nothing.
I feel myself in this one. Come on. Come on, Scoop.
There's anything I thought I had it. I was ready to talk my talk, walk my walk, baby. I can't sing that because it would cost too much licensing.
Come on, Scoop.
Oh, I had this.
Come on, dunk it. Let's go.
Oh, come on.
Let's go.
Man. All right, so you can pick which one of these you want to put a ring on, and I'll consume the.
We'll start with Bryce Young, and
a ring on Bryce. Look at this fancy.
I'm gonna put on. How about a championship ring for Bryce?
Oh, come on! I need to have a drink after that.
I feel like with this Alabama team, although they have lost a game, we know that Nick Saban and his team usually play well off of losses. We've seen that one year where LSU beat Alabama, and then our good co-worker, A.J. McCarron, ended up winning the national championship that year. Now, Mississippi State and Alabama coming off some uncharacteristic losses, but this game is their bounce-back game, and Bryce Young is still a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, all right. Look,
I got to give him a wedding ring for that.
They might do okay this weekend, but the closest that Alabama's coming to a championship this year is when they watch it. I'll be closer to the championship on the sideline than they will be because they ain't getting anywhere near that game. All right, let's keep it going. All right, let's go. I feel like I'm just going to start cheating if I can't nail one of these. I should have rigged the game before we got here. And, I cheated and he got it.
I'm doing it for real.
Right, go ahead.
All right, we're going to go with Hendon Hooker.
All right.
And for Hendon Hooker, I'm going to give you the purity ring. You know why? Because he had to wait for the right one before things were finally done the right way. Transfer from Virginia Tech. We've seen guys like this before who had to transfer in order to find their home and get that right system where they could commit themselves to that team. So I'm giving Hendon Hooker the purity ring because him and that offense kind of reminded me of that 2019 LSU team. You know how Joe Burrow had to transfer and get to LSU and ball out? He had the right one with purity.
I like where
Hooker.
I like where you're going. I would have gotten him like one of those fake diamond rings that looks really sparkly, but it's not real. Because like right now, it's really sparkly. By the end of the year, there's so much left on Tennessee's schedule. It's not going to be real. Am I ever going to get one of these? That's what I'm really trying to figure out.
You're the one that owns this game.
I did. But this is a different version. I'm starting to think, give the governor a harumph. The whole thing was rigged. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I should have got
that. I got one. All right. Why don't you take the UCLA shot? I got to figure out which to put on UCLA, what ring to put. This one's tough. I'm gonna put a ring pop on UCLA. Why the ring pop? Because it's kind of sweet and you like having them when you don't know that there's better out there, right? Like, you get the ring pop, you feel pretty good about it. You're like, this is the delightful ring pop. That's where we are with UCLA right now. It's delightful, it's fun, it's tasty, it's a treat, but it ain't real. I mean, there's a moat between where UCLA is and I don't know, the Georgias of the world. So, like, it's tasty, but it's not legit, all right?
I like that ring pop.
Ring
At least
pop.
it's sweet and tasty, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. I didn't even mean to do that.
Son of a biscuit.
I'm just on fire with this game.
Which one?
All right, which one we doing next here? We're going with Jim Harbaugh. And you know what? For Jim Harbaugh, I'm going to give him the pinky ring. Because, you know what? You only show it when you want to show it. The pinky ring is only for people who got that money, who have that Big Ten money, and everyone thinks it's worth something, but at the end of the day, you're going to lose to Ohio State, all right? If you're going to have that 1 or 2 win season, it's going to end up being disappointing for the Michigan fans. They have high expectations, but I will shout out this team. A pinky ring is still fancy. To run for 418 yards against the Penn State team that had the 5th-ranked rushing defense, I'll give you props for that, but nothing special, just like a purity ring, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm giving Harbaugh the movie The Ring because it's going to be a horror movie when Michigan takes on Ohio State. Like, it's going to be unwatchably awful for Michigan fans when they get rolled out of there by 50, all right? Like, there is no point in the Michigan season because they're going to get destroyed in their conference by Ohio State. They will get blown out, and it will turn into a horror movie. Let's go. I'm feeling good. I'm
about to get this on one try. Come on, Scoop.
You got like all the mojo. I think my string's wrong.
It's technique. Technique. Come on. Give a little twirl to it. This isn't bad.
I tried to cheat again. I tried to cheat. I can't even cheat right.
All right, Dabo Sweetie, the last one. I'm on fire on this
game. It's a good thing that these things are Mickey Mouse friendly. Otherwise, I'd be stumbling out of the end of this show.
I'm going to give Dabo the promise ring because I promise you, If you guys continue to play the way that you're playing right now and win out, you will make the college football playoff. Now, Clemson, I've had them in my top 4 for quite some time. You've seen it on the wrap-up when we were on it together. I think this defense has one of the best front sevens in all of college football. And not only that, DJ Uiagalelei, yeah, I said it right. They're averaging almost 40 points per game. This offense has stepped up. This defense has stepped up. And per usual, Clemson is going to continue to get better as the year goes along, and that schedule gets easier. I'll give you the promise ring. Just win out.
I think for me, there's a little bit of that, like, really nice, ooh, you got that wedding ring out of this one because Clemson loves Dabo, Dabo loves Clemson, and frankly, while we're busy worrying about everybody else in the SEC, I think there's a good chance they all end up taking each other out, and all of a sudden Clemson's standing there saying, you know what? Remember this? Like, maybe it's not as flashy, but this brand of physical quarterback play particularly can win you a national championship.
I mean, it's going to be what? If the season was to end now, it's North Carolina and Georgia Tech as a possible ACC championship opponent for Clemson.
I mean, Clemson's
good.
Clemson's straight moonwalking into the college football playoff. I let him win because he was a guest. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Another one just off rip.
I did much worse than he did. It takes a whole team behind the scenes. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. Good Lord! This has been the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks.